Ryan Day, first up, what happens if he wins a national championship? Well, you will have just witnessed probably the wildest swing in emotion that the sport could ever deliver you. Because if you take yourself back to Thanksgiving weekend, and you take yourself back to Michigan at Ohio State, and you take yourself back to them losing that game, and then the scene post-game. Do you know we're a month and a half removed from the cops spraying mace all over the place in Ohio Stadium, and Ryan Day standing there, deer in headlights, because emotions have just totally left his body, or either they've overwhelmed him to the point where he's in shock, he can't move, and I totally get it because I'd feel the same way if I were him. We've gone from that to this guy's favored by over a touchdown to win the national championship a month and a half or so later. How could you get any more violent of a swing, one emotional end of the spectrum to the other emotional end of the spectrum than that? So you will have experienced that. Along with that, you will have had a lot of people who made very definitive statements about what this guy can, or more specifically, what this guy can't do, that will have to delete the tweets or just admit they were wrong. A lot of his fans thought that. A lot of Ohio State fans would have to admit they were wrong about him. And we're not talking about from the previous years. We're talking about from a month and a half ago. Again, that's what the new college football playoff format can give you. It can give you catastrophic endings to seasons. It can give you crippling blows in rivalry games. And then if you're talented enough, you just dust yourself off and you make a run. That's what just happened. Now they've got one more left to go. So this is if they win. He would have also been in the best of both worlds. If you think about where Ryan Day will be if he wins a national championship, he will have won his first title. So his team will have accomplished the ultimate goal that the sport has to offer, that is winning a national championship. But if you also think about what it means to be an Ohio State Buckeye, you will have also missed out on what is your preseason goal every year, and that is beating the team up north, as you would say. So Ryan Day would be best of both worlds because he'll have a national championship, and he'll be able to dunk on Lou Holtz, but he'll also have that carrot to dangle in front of everybody who's back next year, and that carrot is, are we really about to go half a decade without beating Michigan? You guys haven't accomplished anything. You know, basically the stuff that Saban used to always try and sell his team on when they came back after winning a title. But Ryan Day really can sell it because in this compartmentalized nature that is college football, you got your preseason goals. At Ohio State, one of them, I would argue the first one, every year should be beat Michigan. Well, you hadn't done it in a long time. Pretty much everyone on that team. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, there may be some fifth or sixth year guy there I don't know about, but by far the nucleus of the team, and frankly most of the staff, will have not beaten Michigan in a long time, if not forever. So you got a national championship in the Woody over here, and then in the practice complex, you got you going at it like your life depends on it because you still haven't accomplished everything. It's a pretty wild place to be if you think about it. Like, there aren't many places. Do I still have my work badge on? Inexcusable. That's on you, Jesse, quality control. There aren't many places where you can win a national championship and say, yeah, but we didn't really do everything we wanted to do this year. Now, I will say this in the interest of balance to the answer to the question. If Ryan Day loses, and we don't want to explore this, of course, this is the part where you just click out if you're an Ohio State fan. Some of you are sadistic enough where you'll stick around for this. If he loses, if Ohio State loses to Notre Dame, I am curious about what the reaction would be. Now, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. There are no losers, metaphorically speaking, in national championship games. Yes, there's a team that loses the game, but if you were good enough to get to a national title game, you're not a loser by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, you are in very rarefied air. But if he loses, I want you to think about this angle for a second, because I do believe there'll be a subset of the college football public, perhaps some Ohio State fans, who would look and once the dust settles, they'd say, well, let's do an inventory of the season. We did not beat Michigan, which is one of our preseason goals. We did not win the Big Ten, which is our next preseason goal. We did not win the national championship. That's our other preseason goal. We got 3 of them every year. We went 0 for 3. Why am I supposed to consider this season any kind of success? Now, this is crazy for people outside of that world, people outside of the college football world. they'd look and they'd say, you just came within arm's reach of a national championship. How could you ever think that this season is a failure? Well, the response to that would be, we're supposed to be there by default. We're Ohio State. You don't get credit for going to the title game. We're supposed to be there. Look at this talent that we've accumulated. Don't buy the car and then brag that, well, I drove really fast. I was in the race. You got to win the race. We're Ohio State. We got the best car, or we got the best players. This is what it would sound like. And then they would say, and by the way, the only thing, as it turns out, that was different about this team than the previous year's teams that we also labeled failures was the expanded nature of the playoff gave this team a third shot at life, and they beat a couple of teams they were favored over, and that's great, and we don't take that away, but they ran into a brick wall again at the very end. My point there is there's not a lot of equity built up. You feel that way right now because they've been on a roll in the playoffs, and they're favored to win the national championship, and everyone assumes, most people assume they'll win it. So you've already played it out. You've already baked that idea in your mind. But if you're standing there, if we're in Mercedes-Benz Stadium Monday night and the clock's ticking down and it's dead tied, and then Colin Jeter's lining up for a game-winning field goal and it's up and it goes through, you feel the same way you did against Michigan all over again. You are shocked. You are stunned. And then the shock and the stun moves to anger, and it moves to a really, really toxic feeling, and some people who were critical before just become critical again, which is the way sports should be. There should be a whole lot on the line. Those are some things that Ryan Day said to us, by the way, when we went and saw him in the spring. We had him on this show. I thought he was about as raw and candid as any coach we had on the show this year about the nature of his job, how you have to embrace that, and how if he doesn't get it done, someone else will get it done. Now, we're never going Ryan Day hot seat on this show. We never have, but he gets it. He is very, very acutely aware of what his job description there is.